Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. Today I thought I would talk, well, I didn't think. I got a request in the comments asking whether I could talk about finding yourself and like moving away from home for uni. And that's something that I've done. I did that in 2020 to go off for my undergrad in Exeter, moving away from home. And to be honest, I think I don't know how much I'll be giving like advice on it. I know that the person who commented said would I be able to give advice. Sorry, it's really noisy outside. I hope that's not too annoying. But yeah, I said to them, not sure how much I can give advice, but I'll draw on my own experience, and then maybe that in itself might help in some way. I went to uni during, like, at the time of lockdowns and stuff, so I'd say my first year was a bit of a write-off. Yeah, didn't really get to socialise or anything, and also classes were pretty much all online. Yeah, it was tough. I think I spent half of that year at home anyway, so and then going into, it was almost like second year was first year. Things would start opening up again, and started like actually establishing friendship groups and things like that. I'd say a big one is that even if you're more introverted and maybe feel like, it's not to say that you're not confident, because you can be confident and not feel like you want to be out there going to parties and out there socialising all the time. But I think in terms of finding yourself, I think you can sort of like find yourself, or at least explore who you want to be multiple times at uni. Like it's not like a linear thing. It's like, I think you can kind of develop one aspect and then branch off and develop another aspect of your personality. And I think uni isn't sort of like this, I don't know, I haven't really, by the way, I kind of thought of some things that I would say, but I think I'm just going to do what I normally do and improvise and just say how I feel in the moment. I think uni, basically the uni experience is going to be so different. Like, you can speak to one person and they'll say it's the best thing in the world, and the other person will say it's awful. It really is, I know it's cliche, but it really is what you make of it. And I found that in my experience, I think it was because it was affected a lot by lockdown and things like that, and lockdowns, but I started to develop my confidence and become more confident in myself from second year. This was because I'd say I felt like I could kind of, to some extent, get on top of my studies, and I think a big thing is the freedom that you have. Freedom from freedom in terms of moving away from home, and a big thing, which is a positive and also something that can be quite difficult, is, except from your lectures and your seminars and whatever it is, you are managing your own schedule, your own timetable. You're managing when you do uni work, when you see friends, when you spend time by yourself, when you, I don't know, whatever it is, go to the gym, for example. Whatever it is that you spend your sort of like downtime doing, or your personal alone time doing. I think that's something that takes, I don't think I ever really figured that out, but it's, uni can be very freeing, and it can be a space where you'll develop massively as a person. I think I developed massively as a person. I I think I started to understand myself more, and I got to I didn't have a very good experience at school, and I think it is that clean slate to some extent. It's not to say that everything's going to magically change, but you do, if you think you can kind of, after, let's say you're at the same school for, 7 years, that's that bubble that's been created, and it's quite hard to break from that bubble when you're at school, and change how you are massively without it having, it's just very difficult. And then you go to uni and you're away from your parents or whoever is looking after you, and like whoever you've been living with, and that can be scary. It is definitely scary. I'm not going to sort of sugarcoat it and say, yeah, it's easy, but it is scary because it's that transition into adulthood, isn't it? And it's that doing things on your own terms, whilst also being able to manage your studies, your social life, your like own time as well. I had a bit of a brain fog then. I think, in terms of finding yourself, it's, in my opinion, I don't know, it's not necessarily going to be straight away that you sort of like figure out who you want to be and figure out what you want to do, because I guess like another big thing at uni is you're thinking about where you want to go in life. You're thinking about where you want to be right now and who you want to be, but you're also thinking about who you want to be in the future and where you want to be in the future. So it's like kind of that battle between living in the now and then seeing where you want to be, and a bit of conflict there, because you might struggle to feel present with it because you're always looking at the next step. But you can say that about anything in life really, but I think uni kind of highlights that quite a bit. But so in terms of, this probably isn't the most views, so I apologise to the person that asked for a video, but I think what I would say is, again, probably cliches and everything, but you only get, unless you go and do a master's and then go and do what I've done, but what I do now, I wouldn't really class it as like normal uni life. It's sort of training, but I'd say take every year as it comes and figure out what a fulfilling time at uni would look like. Set out, again, these are going to change throughout your 3 years, 4 years, I'm not too sure how long you'll do it for, but I think set out loosely what you want to gain out of uni, what you deem important to you, and explore that. And that's not to say that, for example, joining loads of societies and social clubs, that might be really important to you. That's not to say that studying is then on a massive back burner and it's like not important at all. It's just sort of like figuring out how to balance them, and again, that will happen with time. It might feel very overwhelming at the start. You might throw yourself into loads of different societies and then figure out that, okay, maybe I can't manage all of this, or you might be able to manage and then the workload gets more intense and you have to kind of dial some of them down. But I think uni is just a time for sort of exploring who you want to be, what you like, what hobbies you like, making new friends, building up connections with people and building your confidence, whether that's with people, whether that's with studies, whether that's learning about yourself and who you want to be. It can be anything, but I think it facilitates that massively, because it is that literal, like physical and also mental shift from the sort of like security, protection, and maybe even rules of your parents to then the freedom, the unknown, the abundance of uni, because there are so many people, there are so many sort of like activities, so many places to go potentially, and it's a whole new world. So abundant in the sense of, yeah, with people, you're going to meet a lot of people, probably more people than you've ever met in your life. I think I felt like that. And you're going to figure out what kind of friends you want to have, and what kind of people you want to spend your time with. And it's potentially going to be a hyper-social environment if that's something that you enjoy, but that's not to say that if you prefer time by yourself, it's also a great space for that, because although there can be the pressure of being around people and living with other people, I think it is a place where you build up your identity and you decide, okay, I don't want to go out today, I don't want to go to this party, I don't want to do this, and equally I do want to do this, and there isn't going to be, let's say that, for example, you felt like when you're in a family home, you, even if this wasn't enforced, you might have felt like, okay, it's whether that's being able to get to like a social event or get to a sports activity, and maybe you couldn't do that at uni. It can be a lot easier to do that. You might be able to walk to a friend's house, you might be able to walk to a cafe, a sports club, etc., etc. You get the gist. So I think it can be just such an amazing experience. I think for me, when I've reflected on uni, yes, I enjoyed my undergrad, English literature, I enjoyed my masters in psychology, and again, I think it is very important to treat that as something that you have to do and something that is a main part of uni, but at the same time, who you're, like the way you're growing as a person, making these new friends, figuring out what you want in life to an extent. This will continue, by the way, after uni. I'm still doing this. I think uni in itself was a bubble, and then the real world, but like the work world is not a bubble, but it's definitely a phase if you go to uni of your life, where you will potentially find that you grow a lot. And yeah, so I think it's such an amazing opportunity, and I hope that the person who commented really enjoys it, and it'd be nice to kind of sort of like talk about how you find it over time. I think that'd be really cool. And I think, yeah, it can be scary, it can be, and I hope that I can maybe offer you and anyone else some support drawing on my own experiences, because to be honest, it wasn't easy. There were a lot of lows, but there were a lot of highs, and I think that is also life, is going in with how I found it. If I would do it again, I don't know how many expectations I had, but I think if you set too many expectations of what you think it will be, it's more likely that you'll be disappointed. That's just, I'd say that's the reality, and maybe it's quite nihilistic, but that is how I tend to approach a lot of things. Is that, let's be realistic, let's not hope that this activity, this event is going to be the best thing in the world. And I find that when I kind of set my expectations quite low, most of the time it will exceed it, and I will come out of it thinking that was amazing. And maybe that is to kind of help with just historically having a lot of anxiety. The way that I coped with it was go in as if it almost like emotionally detached. I'm not saying they should do this, but and then anything that happens is going to be better than what I thought. Maybe that was the worst that I expected and that it would be awful, or that I just didn't really think it'd be anything, because I didn't even want to like imagine what it'd be like. It would just be almost like a nothingness of, this is going to be what it is, it's going to be. And most of the time that would exceed it and it would be great. So that's not necessarily how you should do it, and I don't want to advise anyone to do that. Just kind of saying how I felt in the past. I'd say I'm much more positive now. I think I'm realistic, but I also am able to like compare how one experience is and carry that over to another, and so I know roughly how I'm going to feel and how things are going to be with certain things that I do. But I really hope this has been helpful, but I feel like it just hasn't. Please let me know if it has, and I could always do a part 2, 3, 4 where I can go and waffle a bit more about it, because 16 minutes or however long I do this of me quite early in the morning talking about it without really planning is maybe not doing the topic justice and not helping. But yeah, I think uni can be amazing. It is going to be tough. It's scary. It's finding, as you said, finding yourself, but it's not necessarily going to be finding yourself and that's that. This is me. I've completed it. It's just a phase. It's a phase of your life where you're discovering who you want to be in that moment, and maybe where you think you, maybe like a stepping stone to how you are going to be in the future. But it's not to say that how you are at uni is going to be how you are forever and how you are after uni, because the same way at school, you might identify with that kind of personality you had at school. You might feel the same about uni after those years, like, okay, this is how I was at uni, this is now who I want to be in the future. But I'd say, for me personally, how I was at school compared to how I am at uni compared to how I am now, it was quite a sort of like overall the trend is that I just feel like I've developed. That's growth, by the way. I think that was quite obvious, but yeah, I hope this has been useful. I'm sure there were 1,000 things that I could have spoken about, and maybe will if you want me to do another video, because yeah, again, I'm not sure how helpful that has been. But yeah, hope you'll have a lovely day, and I hope the person that requested this, sorry to bring attention to you, but I hope you've enjoyed it and it's been useful. And if anyone else has any requests, this video has been really cool to make. I know that it's quite tricky because I haven't really thought about it, but it has been really nice to make. And I think if the requests are kind of like this, things that where I could draw my own experience and feel like there might be some value, and they're also just, I think they're interesting and kind of align with the sort of things I talk about, I'd love to do that. That'd be great, and I really appreciate again the person who requested this. So yeah, thank you. I hope you all have a lovely day.